Now, from the Columbia Basin, your local news source, this is iFIBER 1 News, presented in high definition. The #1 source for real-time local news, local sports headlines, and our very own Weather Center forecast covering the entire Columbia Basin. With your iFIBER 1 News team, reporting news in real time as it's happening. From the iFIBER Communications HD broadcast studio in Ephrata, Washington, this is iFIBER 1 News, and it starts now.
Welcome to iFIBER 1 News. I'm Cody Johnson with news from around the Columbia Basin for Wednesday, January 10th. Tonight we report on how REC Silicon is reducing its production and workforce, and how a small story opened big hearts for Moses Lake children. We look at how the Moses Lake police chief is making a big change and the potential for increased taxes from the state next year. In sports, we recap the Big Bend Community College Vikings basketball games from last night. Our spotlight story tonight is about a Moses Lake tattoo artist having his first art exhibition. And we have the latest weather forecast for the Columbia Basin from the iFIBER 1 Weather Center. Our top story, REC Silicon is reducing production in reaction to the world market for polysilicon used in producing solar cells. The Siemens reactors left over from when the plant was built in 1984 are being shut down. According to REC spokesperson Sharon Palmerton, the change reduces the Moses Lake plant's workforce by 46 jobs. The company employs 520 people in the Moses Lake facility. Some of the employees are being transferred to vacant positions within the company. The company is reducing production of chunk form polysilicon by 2,400 metric tons. It was created by the Siemens reactors. The newer fluid bed reactors will continue to produce solar grade granular polysilicon. There was an overwhelming response to a Moses Lake school's request for a freezer to hold donated food for neighborhood kids in need. As reported by iFIBER 1 News on Tuesday, North Elementary School is organizing a program to help send meals home to neighborhood students and their families each weekend. Serve Moses Lake and other groups helped spread word that the school needed a freezer, and North Elementary School Principal Sydney Richens said many people came forward to fill the request. Moses Lake Police Chief Dean Mitchell is making a change at the police department. He's retiring. Here with the story is Ryan Lancaster.
Moses Lake Police Chief Dean Mitchell is retiring this spring. After 34 years with the city, he says it's time to move on. City Manager Joe Gavinsky made the announcement at the end of Tuesday's council meeting.
Dean will be leaving the city by retiring on March 3rd of this year.
It's been a great experience, it really has. I came here in 1979 and never dreamed I'd be here. I was 22 years of age, 34 years later, and I've watched a positive transition take place within this police department over those years.
When Mitchell came onto the force, the police station was brand new and the department had 17 officers. 3 decades later, the building is fast filling up with 34 officers.
And proud to say that the vast majority of our police officers that are here stay here, and we've been able to retain good employees.
Mitchell himself moved to Moses Lake from Ellensburg after a short stint with that city's police department. He was quickly promoted to sergeant, where he spent 9 years before becoming assistant chief for 12 more, then chief. Mitchell says he's tried to maintain a focus on service and integrity. To do that, he says he's hired the best crew he can find and formed coalitions with other agencies.
In order for us in a small community to be effective, we really had to develop partnerships with other law enforcement agencies and other public service agencies such as our school district.
Programs he's helped implement include school resource officers, the multi-agency drug task force, a major crimes investigative unit, and other units focused on traffic safety, street crime, and fugitives. He hasn't realized all his goals. He'd like MLPD to have a firing range of his own again and says the building is in dire need of upgrades.
I'm a little disappointed that I wasn't able to see those 2 projects through, but there's a number of programs that we were able to implement over the years that I feel very good about.
He also feels good about the friendships he's forged over the years.
It's hard to describe the camaraderie that you develop when you're involved in high-risk situations. And that's probably the most difficult part to walk away from, is those relationships that you have.
But he doesn't plan to go far. Mitchell and his wife will continue living in Moses Lake, where he says he already has a part-time job lined up.
We'll move on. It's time to try something different. And I tell you what, this department's in good shape. We have some very competent, very qualified people here, a number of people that could probably step right into this position. Very appreciative of the opportunity to be able to serve. This has been a great community, great people here in this community. Later, my friend.
For iFIBER 1 News, this is Ryan Lancaster reporting.
And we want to thank Chief Mitchell for his years of service here in Moses Lake. A 17-year-old Royal High School student was arrested yesterday after allegedly abducting a 14-year-old girl from the school grounds. Royal City Police Chief Darren Smith said the girl had recently ended a relationship with the male who forcibly removed her from the high school by grabbing her arm and making her walk out of the cafeteria. Other students tried to stop him, but he allegedly picked her up and carried her over his shoulder and ran past the middle school. The middle school principal followed them in his truck but lost sight of them in a residential area. A deputy found the teens walking outside of Royal City. Smith said the girl was scared and cold but otherwise unharmed. The male was booked into the Grant County Juvenile Detention Center for kidnapping in the first degree. A newly restructured Moses Lake Irrigation and Rehabilitation Board met Tuesday and adopted a $1.6 million budget for 2013. But before the new board could adopt it, former board director Mick Hansen and outgoing director Rich Archer passed a motion to transfer $362,000 from the 2012 budget to pay for the previously approved land purchase. Director Ron Covey abstained, saying it would be against parliamentary procedure to conduct official business before swearing in newly elected Director Ken Kernan. The board attorney agreed with Covey, and a lengthy discussion ensued before Kernan was sworn in and selected to be the board chairman. Money for the land purchase was ultimately left out of the new budget, and Covey vowed that the board will no longer pursue purchase of the property. The newly passed budget cancels an $830,000 budget adopted by the board in December. Hansen and Archer had voted in favor of the lesser budget, while Covey was adamantly opposed, saying it left little funds for running the district or adequately maintaining the water quality of the lake. Funds are also set aside for a pilot program to control algae blooms, a children's fishing derby, and a Water Quality Institute program. For more information on the MLIRD or to watch the meeting on demand, you can visit us online at iFIBER1.com. Two young girls were badly burned by hot food spilled during a rollover crash near Royal City. Luis Villalobos Ruiz, a 32-year-old Royal City man, was driving 5 members of his family and several hot pans of food to a potluck meal in Royal City on Sunday morning. According to Grant County Sheriff's Chief Deputy Ken Jones, the driver reportedly lost control on an icy stretch of road 12 southeast, causing the 2000 Dodge Durango to roll twice. 2 girls, ages 9 and 12, suffered first and second degree burns from food that spilled on them during the crash. The younger girl was not wearing a seatbelt and was ejected out the back window, but she suffered no serious injury other than the burns. A total of 4 passengers were transported to the hospital for treatment of cuts and bruises. The 2 girls were later flown to Harborview Medical Center in Seattle for treatment of burns over about 20% of their bodies. Villalobos Ruiz was cited for traveling too fast for road conditions and failure to restrain a child. Each of the people you see here have warrants for their arrest and are wanted by various law enforcement agencies. If you see any of these people, the DOC asks you not attempt to detain or apprehend them, but to call police. You can also call the Department of Corrections at 509-764-6180 during the day or 509-762-1160 after 5 p.m. We'll be right back after these messages with the latest from the iFIBER 1 Weather Center, and we've got more sports and news.